want to ask you about the rates decision, Stacey.
Yeah.
We can move away from races to rates and on hold, but the inflation forecast looks like it's improved. Is the government encouraged by that?
Well, it's consistent with what the government's been saying. We have worked very hard on these inflation questions. When we came to government, inflation at 6.1%, now south of 3%, like less than half. There's still work to do, obviously, but the forecast for trimmed inflation and mean inflation is very consistent with the government's approach and our overall policy position. So we've done it in a way that has where government has done the most that it can to take the pressure off households. So we're pleased with the result, but there's still work to do.
Cam Redden calls it the premiership quarter next year when you might get a rate cut in February. Is that your hope, obviously?
I just think we've been a government that has soberly done the job in front of it. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves in terms of the politics of these issues. What is our job as the government of Australia? It's to manage the fundamentals properly. Two surplus budgets back to back. That hasn't happened in a political generation. We've done tax cuts for every single Australian taxpayer, much bigger than the previous Morrison government. We've delivered stability and certainty, and we'll come to next year when there'll be an election sometime in the first half of next year with a plan for Australia's future. That's what we'll be focused on next year. Right now, it's economic management, and we're working our way through it.
It's not all good news because the RBA inflation forecast says in 2025, at the end of it, inflation will be back up to 3.7.
Well, that's why you have to have a government that's focused on inflation.
But doesn't that show the power bills thing's a bit of a ruse?
No, I don't think it does. Number one, the power bill support for households and business has had a real effect in the real world, supporting families when they need it. We, of course, more broadly in the electricity system, we're undergoing reform and building new generation and transmission that is designed to bring down the cost. It's about dealing with all of the fundamentals that are in front of us. There are going to be future challenges in the economy, Andrew. The focusing on
Could the Reserve Bank look at that, say inflation's going back up, let's keep rates at 4.35?
Well, you'd be surprised to hear me say that the Reserve Bank has to make independent judgments of itself. No, I'm concerned with what is our job. Our job is to deal with the here and now, the inflation challenge. We delivered back-to-back surpluses that, for all of the hot talk from Angus Taylor and Scott Morrison and Jane Hume and all of these other characters, was never delivered by the previous government. We have delivered them.
I want to ask you... Sorry.
Just before we on that, how do you manage expectations then? Because you look at that February decision now, the big four banks, all of them, are saying we're expecting a rate cut on the 18th of February. If there isn't a rate cut in February, if there may not even be one in April, do you understand people are going to be disappointed by that? It feels like there's now an expectation that rates have to go down sooner rather than later.
We all want to see rates go down. Want to see inflation resolved as fast as possible, no question. But I think what Australians are coming to expect from this government is our track record of not getting diverted by the day-to-day events, but focusing on the fundamentals for Australians and the Australian economy. We've got, as I said, we've done a good job of working through these issues over the course of the last 2.5 years. There is still more work to do. And at the election, there is going to be a stark choice.
That's between a big day for your economic management plan, though, isn't it? Your message. That 18th of February, that's shaping as a pretty pivotal day to the message you take for the next election, isn't it?
Well, election day is going to be a big day where people have a choice between a government that's managed the inflation challenge well, has pushed ahead, made the tough calls and made good calls in the interest of households, and a dangerous, risky proposition with an arrogant Peter Dutton who is an unknown quantity on the economy.
We're on the eve of the US election tomorrow. Now there's Parliament sitting, but a lot of you will be focused on what's happening over there. Do you share the assessment that Donald Trump scares the bleep out of you?
Well, I think that what you've seen in the period that we have been in government, is the government focused on the interests of the Australian people and representing the interests of the Australian people. That means you won't get commentary from me or other ministers or the Prime Minister about...
Do you think it was unwise for him to have said that back in 2017?
Well,
Trump was the leader at this
when Anthony Albanese led the Labor Party from 2019 through, we have established a very consistent approach across government, demanding bipartisanship from the other side, who haven't always given it in government
Donald Trump has a
on the
long
big
memory.
strategic questions.
He's going to be worried about, it was 2017, he wasn't officially the PM at the time.
Well, I think we'll let the Americans do the American election, and we'll represent the national interest, and the Americans will elect whoever they want to elect.
Does he scare you, Donald Trump?
I don't think. I think we are in a complex international environment where Australia has to be focused on its interests and working with our strategic partners in the national interest and the interest of having a safe and peaceful region, in the interest of building our industrial competitiveness and capacity, and that's what we'll be focused on, no matter who the Americans elect.
Let me ask about Bridget McKenzie.
Oh, yeah.
I've just revealed that my understanding is she's got more than 11 flight upgrades she hasn't declared and is going to declare. But some of it's for personal travel. She will be saying this happened at the gate, sources are telling me, and that they weren't solicited. What do you make of this and her position?
Well, firstly, I'd just say let's wait. I understand what you're saying. I've got no doubt that your sources are correct on this question, but I'll let Bridget explain that herself. I think that's proper. But the second thing is, this is really about Peter Dutton's judgment. He sent Bridget McKenzie out there. He's been making...
Maybe she sent herself out there.
Well, that's not what happens in opposition parties, I can tell you. He has sent her out there on a pretty nasty smear campaign. Of course, there are always legitimate questions about these things. I've got no doubt people will be asked questions and estimates and all that, no problems. But it was a smear campaign. A nasty, arrogant smear campaign directed by Mr Dutton, who, of course, has been ringing up begging Gina Rinehart for her private jet. The hypocrisy of all of this is extraordinary. And it just says something about the priorities of the opposition, the Liberals and Nationals and Peter Dutton at the moment. Right when you'd expect a party approaching an election year to be setting out the policy and platform in the interests of Australians to make Australian lives better, it just shows a lot about them, that they're at the bottom of the barrel, attempting to smear everybody else, but end up covered in mud themselves.
So are you not going to call for her to have to step down from her shadow portfolio if she hasn't declared over 11 flights? Are you not doing that because it's concern of skeletons potentially? No. I'm just saying, let's wait until she actually, I understand what you're putting to me. It doesn't look very good. If it were to be true.
But let's not engage in a hypothetical now. I suspect if Andrew's got this story that we're minutes away from whatever revelation, it's really, for me,
a couple of days away, I think. But anyway,
a couple of days away, whatever. Right? But at the end of the day, it's Peter Dutton's judgment as the angriest leader of the Liberal Party in its lifetime, who always goes to the bottom of the barrel and is always looking for a fight and an argument, rather than doing what the Liberals should be doing, and the Nationals. That is putting together a positive platform for Australians that makes their lives better.
We're standing by to go live to the Governor of the RBA, Michelle Bullock. We appreciate your time, Tim Ayres. Thanks so much.